Hey everybody, how's it going? Winter Wonderland here. The awesome weather continues, and we had another storm. It's just been storm after storm after storm, and this doesn't often happen to me, but I actually had the flu last week, so I took a day off work, laid in bed, ate some soup, and sweated out the poison. I feel a little bit better now. You can still hear it in my voice. But yeah, the wind yesterday and the day before was like 60 mile an hour again, and we moved some snow. Today's video, let's pull the skid steer in the shop. I do this a couple times a year. I let it thaw out, and I want to do a couple of repairs to it. My backup camera, I have a backup camera wired in. It's shorted out on the muffler. The clip that was holding the wire came down. I want to see if I can splice it back together. But the main thing I want to do today is I'll show you guys. I got this old beat up heater in there. It doesn't work very well, and when it's cold out, I freeze in that cab, which is fine, but I can't keep the windows from fogging up. So and if you can't see in that thing, it's not very safe. You back into ditches and stuff like that. So today's video, I'm gonna see if I can fit a different heater inside the cab of the skid steer. It's gonna be tight, but we're gonna see. Just spent the last half an hour stacking snow and scraping and just cleaning up the yard. I did what I could yesterday and shut it down, and now today it's super warm out. It's above freezing for sure. I'm walking around in a sweatshirt, and it's nice. Anyhow, let's run into the shop and let's have a look at the skid steer. Here's underneath the hood of the skid steer. I may fix that glow plug relay today too. We'll see. I like this machine. It's pretty easy to work on. You can get at most things. The only thing you can't get at is the fuel filter. You can see she's dirty. I used to keep this thing like you could eat off of it, but these machines, it's hard to keep them shiny. I wash it down. But anyhow, let's do a little bit of work here. So today, here's the hoses for my heater. Now this machine here, you see there's a radiator. It's actually oil cooled. This is an oil cooler, and my hydraulic lines run through here. Okay. Right there, and my oil lines run through here. So this is an oil and hydraulic cooler. There's no coolant in this motor. This is a Deutz industrial machine. There's the motor, FM 1011F. These motors have been used in Bobcats and industrial equipment. They're great engines. I would buy another one. When I was first looking at this, I was like, no coolant. But you know what? It's been a great motor. This motor only has, I don't know, I've personally put 600 hours on this motor, but that's it. I don't know how many hours are on it other than that. But back to this. So these are the oil lines, and these go up here and into the cab to a heater. And I'll show you guys the heater. And again, I melted this pretty bad. That's for my backup camera. Let's have a look at the heater. That's the heater that's in this. I've modified it. I made these boxes years ago, and these are vents from like a Chevy pickup. and they kind of blow and hit my shoulders. But and that's a fan from a GM or a Ford. I can't remember because the old fan died. But and then I have a sump hose running, and that blows on my front windshield. Works okay, but honestly, it doesn't make enough heat. If I crank the heat up, there's not enough heat going through the rad that's in here because oil goes through. There's not enough heat going through there. The air will blow through the rad and cool the rad too quickly. So it's a balance between airflow and the rad, or airflow and heat. I can never crank this thing and just pound the heat. So let's have a look at what I bought. So here's what I picked up. It's one of those small diesel heaters, generic. Doesn't matter what brand it is. There's tons of these out there. Now my idea is to fit this in the cab and blast myself out of there with heat. I want enough heat that I can push snow in a t-shirt if needs be. Sometimes I spend an hour or two. Now all I've done here is I wired it all up. It has a control panel right here. And everything seems to work, so I think I'm just going to leave it like that and and go from there. Next thing, I have to decide where I'm going to mount this thing and go from there. So I'll spare you guys the details, but I'll kind of, my first thought was to mount it in here. I have a smaller tank. Okay, I'm going to mount the tank inside the cab. Just put a little diesel here and there. That's a 5-liter tank. I could tap into the fuel system on this rig, but I'd have to lift the cab, and being that it's winter, I don't really want to do that. So I don't mind. I'll bring like a 1-liter jug and just dump it in there. And then I can run the hose in the cab, which will keep the fuel warm. I could mount it there and try and run the exhaust kind of to the back of the under cab area. That might be the best idea. And then just draw air from in the cab. The other thing I could do is I could mount it to the ceiling here and just exhaust it straight out with no muffler on it. And that way my hoses are super close to where I want to exhaust or heat up, which would be the windshield. I might actually end up doing that. Although I have power back there for this unit, I might actually just mount this thing to the roof and just dump it straight out. And then that way I'm not really modifying the unit. There's plexiglass there. It's old and cracked and smashed. I could drill a couple holes through there, mount this thing to the roof, just make a plate and sandwich it through there. And I won't even put a muffler on it or anything. The only thing I'm worried about, friends, is she'll be close. Well, she'll either fit or she won't. I guess I'll have to wait and see what's what, but you guys can see like this thing's, it's inches from hitting the roof. So anyhow, I'm going to bumble around in here and just kind of decide what I'm doing, and I'll get back to you guys when I have some progress. I've removed the old heater. You can see there's 2 holes where the old oil lines came up. I ran the oil lines back into themselves, fired the unit up, made sure that this thing's not going to leak oil. You guys can see I fully insulated this unit years ago. It used to be real cold in here. Now it's just sort of cold. Okay, so I've decided to mount the heater back here. It comes with this rubber gasket. Okay, and what I'm going to do, I'm going to use this as a template, drill my holes, and then pilot drill, and I'll use a step bit and I'll drill all the holes out, and this is an exact template for what I need. Like that. Notice I put a pan underneath so all the chips went in there. We'll need a couple of unit bits if you want to do this. And okay, now I'll mount the unit, start plumbing lines, and should be good to go. Get rid of our drip pan. Ooh, nice. I pushed the fuel line in. It's going to go up through here and hook up underneath the hood. Okay, and then I'm going to do all the plumbing, wiring, everything from inside, so that if I got to work on it, it's just easier if I can do things inside. Okay, here it is under the hood. I'm going to have to build some kind of a clamp, but here's what I did. Now, one little problem when you turn the ignition off, suddenly this thing smokes. You got to let these things run for a bit. They need power to them after you shut them off. So don't mind the smoke there. I discovered that with my other unit. Okay, so exhaust goes out here, P-clamp, muffler, P-clamp. I don't need a muffler, but that's how I joined them together. Okay, the only thing I don't like so far, there's a few little odds and ends to tie in. That fuel line's really close to the exhaust. It's one of my complaints about these heaters. Anyways, so that's how it looks under the hood. And then here's the install. Pretty easy. The only thing that took a while is because this is a skid steer and there's not a lot of room in here. Okay, I bolted the tank through the cab. Okay, with the bolt holes right there. There's your tank. Fuel line goes underneath. Lift pump is there, and then fuel filter after the lift pump. I kind of may have done that backwards, but whatever. We're burning clean diesel in this thing, so I'm not really super worried about it, but I think I need to reverse those, but I can do that later. I got to tidy up the wiring for the lift pump. There's the unit mounted right behind me, kind of out of the way. Exhaust hose goes up to here. I put this here because it's blowing on the back of my neck. It'll keep me nice and toasty. I'm already noticing that it's super warm in here. But, okay, so T, everything else is wired. Let's climb into this thing and fire it up and just kind of see how it works. Haven't taken this thing outside yet, but I'm guessing that it's probably going to be too hot in here. Okay, here we are inside the unit. So this diffuser here blows at the front windshield. I'm just going to turn the key on. And here's the controller. I haven't mounted this yet. I don't want to drill holes till I'm sure. Okay, this thing's already on. Power. Now, what it's doing, and again, I already pre-tried this thing. It is clearing itself out. These things need to run a little bit. There's a fan. The fan needs to run and blow the fumes out of it before they will start again. And because I just turned the ignition off, it shut down. So what this thing's going to do now is it's just going to run and run and run. Hit the power button. Okay. It seems to have two different settings, H6, and that's heat level 6. That's what I've been using. You can also hold, there's like a little gear. You can hold that and it'll go to, this one's in metric, 26. The one in my shop, that's what I do. I use the thermostat. You know, I'll put it like 20, 22, something like that. And just let it run, but okay, so and then I got this here. It's a crude setup. I use there's electrical tape and zip ties and bias plies. Yeah, there could be. Okay, I don't care how fancy this is. This is just to keep me warm. I can already tell you guys it is warm in here. It's just starting to fire up. That's one thing with these heaters. They take a couple of minutes to get going. It is an engine. It has to fire up. You'll hear the fuel pump come on and it'll start going tick, 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 tick. Okay? You know what I need to do, friends? I need to stop mashing buttons. Okay, there we go. Okay, now how long's it been, friends? They take a while. Again, though, normally I'd be running this thing to warm it up, so it's not really going to matter. I don't really like this screen. The screen on my other unit is way better. It's just easier to read. This one's kind of, it doesn't make sense. My other one, you hit the button, it says start heating, and you can hear the fuel pump right away. It fires within a minute. if you turn the temperature up, it shows you the temperature. Like this one's kind of silly. There we go. Okay guys, I have the unit running. Again, I can't hear this unit clicking or any of that kind of stuff. I don't hear the fan at all. You can see this one's blowing on the back of my neck, which makes me nice and toasty. And this one here is blowing on to the front windshield. Again, there are other ways to heat a cab. Total cost about $100 for all this stuff. I couldn't buy a heater. The reason why I did this, friends, is I couldn't find a heater that's rated for oil. I found one, they're like $600 or $700. I wasn't sure if it was rated for oil, and it was only like 5,000 BTU, which is what was in here. This is an 8,000 BTU heater, and it's, friends, it's getting hot in here. Like, I'll run this thing on low, I bet you, all the time. It's, the amount of heat this thing puts out is almost uncomfortable, which will be good. It's warm out today. When it's minus 30 and I have to push snow, I want to be warm, so. And you know what's nice? In a pinch, if this machine was ever frozen and didn't want to start, I could run a hose from here out the front door and run a hose to the intake like a hairdryer and heat the intake up and start this thing. It would actually work. So anyhow, friends, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and I am super happy. Ooh, it's warm in here. It says it's 21 degrees in here already, which is where I'd want it. Oh, I'm so happy that I got this project done. I've had the parts to do this all winter and just haven't found the time. That's what this winter's been. I've been trying to get stuff done, lingering projects that I've been put aside year after year. So thank you to those of you that come and hang out in the old saw shop or skid steer shop today. What I can say is, in 10 minutes of running that heater, the temperature in the cab went up 10 degrees Celsius, which is quite a bit. I have a feeling I'm going to run that thing on low most of the time, but I could get that cab hot within 5 to 10 minutes probably, which is what I'm after. I want it to be hot in there. You can always crack the windows if it's too hot, but you can't make it warmer in there or get more air circulation, which is both of the problems. I wasn't getting enough heat and I wasn't getting enough air circulation with the old system. So with this system, I think we're going to have zero issues and it's going to be really toasty in there. I've had this machine for like 10 years, so that tells you something. I've never, ever been warm in that cab. So anyhow, friends, thanks for watching. Take her easy, and I'll see you in a couple days. Later.